Hey, how you doing? Welcome back. Today we're going to look at Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. Now many of you are probably thinking that this is a really easy song and it won't take any time to sort of learn it. But most of the people I've seen don't do it right anyway, so I thought I'd show you the proper way to do it. Okay, so the song's in the key of G minor, and we start off on a G5 chord like this. But rather than plucking this with a plectrum, you simply use your thumb and your index finger to do this. But I'll show a close-up of that later. So we start off on the G like this, and the notes there are just D and G. The notes there are just D and G. And as this is just an inverted fifth chord. We then move to the same shape, but on the third fret of the third fret, and we repeat the same picking pattern. This is a B flat 5, and then we now proceed to a C5. So in context that sounds like this. Now the second time we go from the G to the B flat, but instead of going straight to the C, you land on the C sharp here, and then slide down to the 5th fret without picking again. So slowly that sounds like this. Slowly that sounds like this. We then repeat the first pattern again, and then we end it from a B flat to a G, and that sounds like this. As I said, it's a very simple lick, but most people do it wrong, so I thought I'd show you the correct way to do it. And now we'll move up to a close-up of the picking hand. Now for this you want to try and aim just before the middle pickup, but this is in terms of a Fender Stratocaster, though this may vary on other guitars you have. But it's good to sort of fiddle around and see what sound you can get the closest to this one. So it's using your thumb and your index finger, you simply pluck like this. Not very hard, you can pick it up really easily. And I'll show you the whole riff now. Okay, so now we'll look at the verse section. And the verse simply alternates between G minor and F. As like the intro, these are fifth chords, but you add the low root note in. So the G sounds like this, but you arpeggiate this chord like this, and that's simply going down the strings. And also remember when picking this to alternate pick. And as you can probably hear on the recording, it's a very palm muted sound. And unpalm muted it will sound like this. Whereas the palm muting sounds like this. And that's quite a big difference there. And that's something which will really add to authenticity in the song. And on the final G of this chord, you really want to staccato it. And that would basically means that you cut the note off as soon as you play it. But for the first two, just let them ring out. Then finally just make that last note very short and snappy. And this happens 5 times, and then you move the exact same sheet. Sorry. We then move the exact same shape down to an F, like this. Then back to the G. And that's the entire verse section. Okay, so we're now going to look at the chorus. This starts on a C5 chord, like this. And that's the exact same shape as we looked at just now. And you also arpeggiate this in the same way, but you don't palm mute at all. You literally just let the notes ring out, and that adds much more dynamics to the chorus. We then repeat the same pattern, but from an A flat chord on the E string. And then this is followed by a G note on the E string. And immediately after that, you then play the octave G on the D string, like this. For this G on the E string, I personally prefer using my thumb, but if you struggle reaching around, you can always use your index finger. But that's just the way I like to do it, and it's also how Richie Blackmore would have done it, because he likes to put his thumb over quite a lot. So the whole chorus slowly. And then the second time, you play the C, and then the second time, you play the C again, and then the A flat, then jump straight back, and the second time, you play the C again, and then the A flat, then jump straight back into the main riff. So now we're going to move on to the guitar solo, and I thought I'd say a few things before that. First being that I've now switched to my neck pickup instead of the bridge, and also on the original recording there's a slight bit of delay added, and I'm not going to add that in for the sake of clarity. So let's take a close up of that now. Okay, so this is part 1, and I'll play that to speed now. So we start off on the D, on the 12th fret of the D string, followed by an F on the G string, and then a G on the G string. And when you play this G, let it ring out, and add a bit of vibrato as well, because that's what it is on the original recording. We then proceed to a pre-bend on the B string. And this is bending from the C to the D, and what a pre-bend means is that you, rather than bending from the first note like this, you before you pick the note, you hold the bend ready, then pluck it whilst it's holding this note here. So slowly that sounds like this. Once again. After this bend, you then move to the B flat on the B, and then finally back to the G. And this section ends with a very quick bend from this B flat, and that will sound like this. And you really want to choke this note rather than let it ring out. So slowly that whole section sounds like this. Section 2 sounds like this. So this section starts off very similar to section 1, in that we progress from the D to the G, like so. We then pluck the B flat on the B string once, and then bend its upper tone to the C. We then, after holding that bend, you then release it back down, and then you pluck the B again, then to an A. Then on this G, on the 10th fret, sorry, the 8th fret, sorry, we then do a very quick hammer on back to the A, like this. And always remember, whilst doing hammer-ons and pull-offs, to use a lot of force with your ring finger on this, and pull away from the string, like so. Gives much more clarity and sounds so much better. If you can master something like that, then it'll really improve your playing. So then after this quick flick, we then slide that down to the F, like so. And then this finally ends by going back to the G and resolving on the F. And section 3 sounds like this. So we start off on the E flat on the G string, then to a G, and then to an F. And this, as I mentioned earlier in the verse section about using staccato, this is another part of the song where you want to do that. So that slowly. Should probably also add that you do it whenever you play these G and F notes. We then move down to the 8th fret, and this part slowly sounds like this. So we start off on the G, then to a B flat, but what you want to remember for this B flat is to add a very slight bend, but not a semitone bend, more like a quarter note, so it's neither note. So that'll sound like this. Then we play a C on the E, and back to the B flat, then end on the C on the B string. So that whole section again. So the next section sounds like this. Okay, this starts off with a bend on the G string from an F, and you want to bend that so it's almost to a G but not quite, and then we do this very bluesy pattern like this. And that's going from a G, then to a C, then to a B flat, then an A, back to the G, then to an F sharp, then to an F, and finally ending on the E flat. So slowly that's like this. Let me then move on by playing the C, then to an F, and again that sounds like this. This then proceeds on like this. It starts off with an E flat, we then slide down to the D like this, then pluck the C on the D string, then the B flat, then an A, and then finally a G. And to end the section, we do this lick. And that's simply playing the B flat on the D string, followed by the A, and to a C, then back to a B flat. And then on the G string, play an E flat, a D, then finally ends on the C. Okay, so the next section. So this starts off on a bend from the third fret of the G string. And then where this is quite low on the fretboard, you may want to support the bend with another finger. I prefer bending with my middle and using my index to support it behind it. And on this bend, you want to add a lot of vibrato at the end. Slowly, that will sound like this. And that bend is a tone bend going to the C, or near enough to it. We then move down to the C, back to the B flat, and to the A, and back to the B flat, to the A again, then finally end on the G. Now on the original, when this open G rings, there is a slight tremolo effect, like this. And if you don't have a tremolo on your guitar, you can... It doesn't really matter too much, but it's just for the sake of authenticity. But if you have a tremolo, feel free to try and improvise around a moment like this. So that whole thing again sounds like this, slowly. So that starts off on a bend from the 5th fret of the G, then to a D on the B string, then to the F, then we do 2 hits on the G on the E string, then do a very similar rundown from what we did on the 8th position, but this starts from the F this time. So as I just said, it starts on the F, into an E, into a D, into a C sharp, into a C, then to a B flat, and that again slowly. Now to finish this section off, we use this lick. And that starts on the G, then to a C, then to a B flat. Then after this, you then proceed to bend the C note. But it does it multiple times, and that will sound like this slowly. And here you're really bending up to the D, but you want, again, as I've mentioned before, you want to sort of try and choke it. So it's very, very bluesy, really cool lick. And again, that sounds slowly like this.